Hi everyone! Today we'll be writing our own fables. So what is a fable? What makes a fable fable? It needs two things, definitely. One, it needs animals, animals that talk and are in the story. They are the characters. And two, it needs a moral lesson, which we'll talk about in the next slide. So the first step in writing your own fable is to think of a lesson that you would want to teach a family member or a friend. So maybe a sibling or a friend in your class, anybody in your family. And the moral of the story that your story will have, it teaches a lesson to the reader. It connects to the details in the story, and it is told at the very end of the story. So examples of popular morals from stories, you've probably heard them before. They're like sayings. Honesty is the best policy. If you're thinking about Pinocchio, for instance, that's not a fable, that's a fairy tale, but that's the same type of lesson that it teaches. Don't judge a book by its cover. That's similar to the fairy tale Beauty and the Beast. And embrace who you are, be who you are. I got that idea from Frozen 2. So I was thinking about Elsa's song. Okay. So this slide, you will write the lesson that you want to teach the family member or friend. What will your moral be? So going back to the last slide, it could be one of these examples, or you can think of your own. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be a saying or one that's common or popular. You can make it up yourself. So I'm going to write my story's moral in here. And it's going to be, so what is inside that matters. And let me think. It's what is inside, not outside, that matters. Okay, so that is my moral. So step 2, choose the animals that will tell your story. So think about what the animals usually represent. So these are some examples. They don't have to be used this way. So if you want a lion, if you want to use a lion in your story, it does not have to be courageous. It can be really timid and shy, but this is just some of the symbols that these animals can be used for. So lions, courage, owls are wise, bears for strength, butterfly for transformation and beauty, deer for being gentle, a fox for clever and smart, a bird as a messenger, and a snake as sneaky. I think I'm going to use foxes. I think they're beautiful and I like the color. I'm just going to stick with just foxes for mine. You can have multiple animals if you want to. Okay, brainstorm your story's details. So now I have to think about my moral. I can look back. It's what is inside, not outside, that matters. And I can think about the details that I want in my story. So the first detail, I'm thinking about writing this for my siblings because I have a brother and a sister. So I'm thinking, so there are two foxes that have beautiful bushy tails and three siblings, sibling foxes. One, oh, two that have bushy tails and one without. The two with bushy tails don't like to play with the other. That's one of my details that will connect to the moral of the story. Okay, because they're judging him on his appearance. I'm just saying him, but the fox. The next detail, I'm thinking that other foxes and animals won't play with the non-bushy tailed fox. Is different. Okay, and then my third detail, I want the fox without a tail. Cool game everyone loves play. Okay, so those are my 3 details that I definitely want to include in my story when I write it. Okay, and step 4, the last step, writing. So page 1, we're going to introduce the characters and the setting. So that's just telling who the story is going to be about and maybe where they are or what they're doing at the beginning. And then page 2, include your details that connect to the moral of the story. So those 3 details are either going to be on the page 2 or one of the details can be on page 1. That's okay. And let's see, page 3, conclude the story by telling the moral. So make sure you include the moral of your story at the very end. You can say it straight up if you want to. You can copy and paste it right into there, or you can incorporate it into the story somehow so that people have to realize, oh, this is about honesty is the best policy. Each page has to be written in paragraph form, so that means complete sentences, capitalizing characters' names if they have names, capitalizing the beginning of sentences, using periods at the end of the sentence, using commas when you know how or when you think they should be put in. Okay, so after you've read all of the instructions, all of the steps, you can move on to writing your story. So this is the title page of your story. So you're going to delete this and write the name of your story in. You will delete this and write your name in as the author. And then you can delete this little box like that. Just delete it and then add a little picture by going to Insert, Image, Search the Web, and then you can type in anything. So I would type in fox, maybe drawing. Yeah, so I can use any of these pictures that I like for my story. This is what yours will look like blank. It's just like this. There are 3 pages and then the end. And here is mine filled in already. So the fox with no bushy tail, that's the name of my story, and there's my picture of the fox. I will read my story to you. I already wrote it. Okay. There were 3 sibling foxes with long black snouts, 2 with bushy tails and 1 without. They liked to run, dance, sing, and play, but the 2 bushy-tailed foxes told the other to go away. The fox without a tail began to worry, for he feared that his tail would never flurry. He looked for other friends to run, dance, sing, and play, but they always screamed, "No, tiny fox, go away." He moped and cried, hoping for a friend to find, when he thought of an idea that would change their mind. He created a game where opinions don't matter. All that you need is kindness, love, and laughter. The rules of the game are to find all the berries, to crush them up, and create a portrait that's merry. The drawing that makes the most foxes smile wins the game and is famous for a while. This was a game that all the foxes could play, and they finally stopped saying, "Tiny fox, go away." As days went by, more animals joined in and cheered for the fox, for he always would win. For you see, the moral of it all is that a bushy tail is not that important at all. The end. So you see how at the end I don't actually say the exact moral that I had at the beginning, that I wrote as my moral, but you know that by saying that a bushy tail is not that important, that means that outward appearances aren't that important. It's within. It's about what's inside and how you are as a person. And he's kind and he thought of a cool game, and everybody thinks that's really cool and nice of him. So that is the end. You definitely do not have to brine in your story. I did that for fun, but you can if you want to. If you want to write this with your family, anybody in your family, a sibling, a parent, you can definitely do that. That would be a lot of fun. And just be creative and have fun with it. You have a few days to do it, so you can work on it a little bit each day and like think about it when you're playing a game or eating or doing anything. You can think about it and come back and keep writing. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I can't wait to read them.